We begin with some breaking news. The Washington Post is reporting that the Senate Intelligence Committee says Russia interfered with the 2016 presidential election with the intention of favoring the president. All right, let's shift gears a little bit, though, and talk about Robert Mueller's Russia probe. President Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, says that Trump will ratchet up the pressure on special counsel Mueller to end that probe. Tomorrow is the one-year anniversary, can you believe it, of the FBI actually appointing Mueller to head that special counsel. Giuliani says they want to put out that message that it's been a year and there's still no evidence of collusion or obstruction of justice. Meanwhile, Senate Judiciary Committee released more than 1,800 pages of transcripts from Donald Trump Jr.'s testimony from last year. Those documents say that Trump Jr. did know if he did anything wrong by attending that now infamous Trump Tower meeting with that Russian lawyer. The transcripts say that he testified that the meeting was primarily focused on Russian adoptions. The lawyer reportedly promised Trump Jr., along with Paul Manafort and Jared Kushner, some kind of dirt on Hillary Clinton. He also testified that if he was given information on Clinton, he would have then consulted with counsel, and that he couldn't remember whether he had discussed the Russia investigation with his father. All right, ABC News reports that former FBI Director James Comey won't attend a closed-door hearing before the Senate Intelligence Committee that was supposed to happen today. The former Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, former CIA Director John Brennan, and former National Security Agency Director Admiral Mike Rogers are expected to appear, however. Comey's lawyer says his client just can't make it because of a previously scheduled engagement.
And that's where we want to welcome in our next guest, Dr. Jerome Corsi. He's the author, of course, of the Amazon #1 bestseller, Killing the Deep State. Dr. Corsi, thanks for being with us today.
A great pleasure to be back with you. Thank you.
Dr. Corsi, what do you think about that statement from James Comey's lawyer that it conflicted with his schedule and that's why he couldn't make it today?
Well, it's a convenient excuse. I'm sure Comey now realizes that the investigative pressure is turning on him for any number of reasons, not the least of which is changing his statement about Hillary Clinton to make it clear or obvious to the public that she was not going to be prosecuted for clear violations of national security policy with regards to her email server. And most recently, Comey's in hot water for releasing these private memos that he wrote, which evidently, some of which included classified material to this professor who then leaked them to the press.
You know, Dr. Corsi, I want to move back a step and talk about this new report released by the Senate Intelligence Committee. To me, it's a big nothing. They're not giving us anything new. They're simply saying that Russia interfered, and it feels like they're speculating that they interfered to help Trump, but they haven't released their determination on, quote-unquote, collusion. What do you make of this? Is this just another attempt by never-Trumpers in the Senate, by deep staters in the Senate, to try to malign the Trump administration, or is there any there?
Well, I said, even in Killing the Deep State, I made the point that the evidence of Russian collusion is non-existent. Sure, the Russians did try to intervene in the election. We know they had these 13 Russians in this Russian troll farm who posted on social media, but even Rod Rosenstein, in announcing that prosecution, made it clear they probably didn't influence a single vote, and they didn't collude with Donald Trump. That's the key point.
Right.
It's not just that Russia may have been involved in the election trying to meddle, but it doesn't appear that Donald Trump was involved in colluding with Russia, encouraging them or otherwise prompting them or benefiting from them. That link has never been established, and that's the key link.
And it's also reported today, Senator Burr says they have hit a wall on the Steele dossier. At what point then will they start to just do something else and stop spending? What is it? What are we at now? $10 million of taxpayer
gotta be
money. When are they going to call a day?
Well, and again, I predicted in Killing the Deep State that we're right now at the point where I think Donald Trump is getting ready to fire Mueller. And I think it's imminent. I think he'll also fire Rosenstein. I think he'll fire Sessions as well. And the evidence is going to be to the American public that, again, Mueller is a corrupt prosecutor. And I expect that this judge in the case with the Russian troll farm, who knows there's really no case there at all. In fact, Mueller indicted a Russian company that didn't exist. You know, at the time the indictment was focused on, that company didn't exist. He indicted a ham sandwich. And increasingly, we know that General Flynn did not lie and was actually just agreed to plead guilty to lying only after Mueller threatened to go after Flynn's family, having reduced Flynn to selling his home and to pay his legal bills. I mean, this is the type of prosecutor who will violate laws. And I've said this from the beginning, the whole group, including Weissman, that Mueller hired, they're a bunch of corrupt prosecutors. And when Donald Trump brings this back to the American people, I think the American people will not object to Mueller being fired. And in his wake, his protector, Rod Rosenstein, and in his wake, Jeff Sessions, who also has done nothing to bring justice on an equal basis to investigate the coup d'etat we know happened and began within the FBI.
Dr. Corsi, let me ask you about Jeff Sessions, because most conservatives, most even crossover Democrats who support Donald Trump, would agree with you that Trump, left to his own devices and without political fallout, would fire Mueller and Rosenstein. But there's about a 50-50 division as to those who think that Jeff Sessions has some kind of operation happening behind the scenes, and those who feel that Sessions is really an absentee attorney general who's turned over DOJ to Mueller and Rosenstein. Why do you feel the president will fire Jeff Sessions?
Because I don't think he's done anything. I mean, we may have investigations going on, but, you know, I'm a political scientist and a behavioralist. Where's the indictments? Where's the arrests? Yeah, we don't see any yet. All I see is Jeff Sessions declining prosecution every time somebody related to Hillary Clinton is brought under suspicion of having committed a crime. And I think it's just, you know, Rod Rosenstein is in charge. He's Mueller's best buddy. Mueller's worth $18 million. I still want to know how much of that came as a payoff from the Uranium One deal in which Mueller covered up. Again, cushy law jobs, millions of dollars provided by the Democrats and the deep state. Mueller is a deep state operative. He's not going to turn against the hand that fed him.
Senator Rand Paul was just on our program not too long ago, and we were talking about CIA Director nominee Gina Haspel. As we mentioned earlier, the committee has confirmed her. It's up for a full vote. Right. But he specifically sent a letter to Gina Haspel. He had some questions. Basically, he wanted to know if Gina Haspel was part of this kind of group, if you will, group that you talk about, this deep state.
Deep state cabal of Brennan and Clapper and Comey.
He said he was concerned because, you know, he sees Brennan as very anti-Trump, very partisan.
Said he hates Trump. He actually used the word hates.
He's concerned because he's in favor of Gina Haspel. So he wanted to know if she was maybe part of this group that possibly spied on Trump's campaign. Want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I wish it had been much more of a subject of the confirmation hearings, because I'd like to know what her real role behind the scenes was supporting John Brennan on any number of policies, including not saying radical Islamic terrorism, bringing many Muslim Brotherhood into the CIA, and then really promoting this Fusion GPS dossier, which Brennan did and still to some extent does, even though I think now he's beginning to be exposed as lying under oath. Brennan was out to get Donald Trump, and she was part of this whole internal structure of the CIA. And I think Rand Paul has some very legitimate questions. I'd like to hear her answers.
Do you think we'll ever see any form of investigations really into the things that we know have happened on the other side of the aisle, especially during the campaign and for the last 8 years of the Obama regime, in terms of Hillary Clinton, Fusion GPS, all of the crimes that we hear all these rumors about him, but do you think we'll ever see any actual investigations or fallout from that?
Well, I've got great confidence in Donald Trump. I've known him for a long time. And in Killing the Deep State, I think if you read it, you'll see I outlined there's a three-phase approach that Donald Trump's going to use. First is countering this attempt to impeach him with Mueller, so fire Mueller. Second is to begin a counterattack, which will be fire Rosenstein and fire Sessions, and then get deeply into an investigation, serious investigations of the crime that started in the FBI, of this coup d'etat, to make sure Donald Trump was not allowed to serve, even though he won the Electoral College vote. And the third act, I think, will be military tribunals. And I'm predicting that before the end of his first term, Donald Trump could easily bring, won't be easy, but he's determined to bring Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama before military tribunals on charges of treason.
Newsmax TV. Watch us on Dish, DirecTV, AT&T Uverse, Verizon Fios, or download our free app. Don't have Newsmax TV? Call your local cable provider and request Newsmax today.